the feeling of harnessing so much power at your fingertips, right? And so as Blake, I'll let you kind of bring up what you had said to me the other day.
Yeah.
But I'll bring up a photo of kind of what we're talking about here while we do that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was talking with John not too long. Yeah, just like a couple days ago. So we were talking about this amp, and he's gonna pull up a picture. It has to be the right year. They're one. I mean, they all look kind of identical. You could probably
but we need a full stack.
Right. Though. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. So I had the opportunity last year. So there's this amplifier, a guitar amplifier. For those of you who aren't musicians, this is what amplifies your guitar. From there you go. There you go. Yeah, I don't even remember what year this came out.
Yeah,
I can't remember. Sorry, I get sidetracked because it looks amazing.
Yeah,
but this is how you used to amplify your guitar in loud venues. So, oh man,
I broke it.
Oh man, okay. All right. So back in the day, guitarists would have to compete with like sound systems because some sound systems wouldn't be able to. You wouldn't be able to hear your guitar as much.
Yeah.
And so
absolutely.
And that's just how it was back in the day. And so through testing, I won't bore you with all the, I'm literally quoting a YouTube video that I watched.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we were talking about.
Right.
But this is, anywho, they created this amp to be able to be louder or compete with the level of like a concert so people could hear your amps.
Wow. Yeah.
And so this is called a Marshall Plexi. It is how many watts?
I think this is 120.
120 watts.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I had the privilege of playing one of these, and I have never played one before. I've always heard about them. So these amps were played by Jimi Hendrix when he was playing at Woodstock.
Yeah.
When he was playing at Woodstock. He had several of these. I think he had 3. Eric Johnson's played through them. AC/DC. This is what they use. Name some other ones.
Eric Clapton, like
Clapton,
Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin.
Van Halen.
Yeah, Eddie Van Halen. And yeah, those are the kind of main ones that come to mind, really.
Yeah. Just a classic, like, anywho.
Yeah.
This sound is the sound of classic rock and roll and blues, just a lot. Anywho, I had the opportunity to play one, and I have never experienced that amount of power before. And of course, I had earplugs in, and you need to have earplugs when you're playing. I didn't play this full stack. It was just the head, which is the very top of it, and I think it was something similar to that cabinet, just like the top cabinet. But man, we were talking like this is like the holy trinity of like a guitar player, because you have the head, which has all of the transformers and tubes and all that stuff inside. That's one part of it. Then there's the actual cabinet, which has all the speakers in it. There's 4 of them.
Yep.
And then the third aspect, so that would be the second. And then the third would be the guitar, which is passing through a cable to some pickups, which are magnets. So it's just like it all works together. And with my point in this, things aren't done like this way anymore. There's not really a need for this amount of power.
Yeah.
Depending on venues now, a lot of guitar players are doing it electrically. So it doesn't call for this anymore. So people get these multi-effects pedals that emulate this sound.
They do it pretty well.
And they do it really well.
Yeah.
But it was an experience. It was in Nashville it was one of my brother's friends at church that has one of these amps. And I literally played one chord and I just started laughing.
Yeah.
I didn't even play anything. I played one chord, and it's it's an experience that every guitar player should experience, and rightfully so. Like, I'm a bass player at heart. This is the same with bass playing.
Yeah.
I finally got an 8x10.
Yep.
Fridge. It's kind of the slang term for it.
Yeah.
But it's essentially a huge cabinet like that is as tall as a fridge with 8 speakers in it.
Yeah.
8 10-inch speakers in it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And man, it's the same thing. You are moving air, which electric emulators and stuff don't move air.
Yeah, they can't. Obviously.
They can't move air. And it's just it's beautiful. It changes your playing for sure, because you have that power, and it's just like, okay, I need to manage this power.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Well, so Denison, like, I want to ask you, I'm gonna stop sharing the screen here.
Right.
But
I get copyrighted.
I want to know, man, you're not so much of a rock guy, and I get it, and you're not so much of a rock concert guy. But what stood out to you? I brought you to a couple with me, obviously. What would you say stood out to you about those? What was the thing that was the most memorable? And then what was the thing that maybe surprised you about it could be the sound, the environment, the culture, whatever, all that kind of stuff.
I think at first it was kind of like, at first, especially when we went to the House of Blues and we saw Alter Bridge. That was amazing. As well as the Bomb Factory. So I would say the venue for both of those were amazing. That was like the first time. Those were the things that stood out to me the most at first. But as we went through, it was the environment and just the sound and the way the sound affected the crowd and stuff like that. Yeah. It was such an experience that was so unlike anything, unlike anything that you can normally feel, right? And normally deal with or normally that you normally interact with on your normal day-to-day basis. So that is what really grabbed me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. If you did normally interact, that you'd be deaf. But no, exactly. So Blake, if you ever get the chance to go to the Bomb Factory in Dallas, go, man. It's an incredible venue. Cool. It's so easy to get into. It's chill. I mean, we went there. We've been there twice. I've been there 3 times, but you and I have been there twice. Yep. I got to meet and greet Alter Bridge there a couple of years back. But
cool. That's awesome.
But that was a sold out show, right? And that place holds 4,000 people. It was rad. It was so cool. Yeah, it was really good. But yeah, that is exactly what we're getting at. I mean, obviously, to me, I'm all for it. It has to be a good venue, and the lighting has to be on point. There's a place up here called the Cotillion that a lot of people joke about. I mean, it has not been updated since the 60s at all. I'm pretty sure the floor is the same floor that my great grandma used to dance on in her high school prom.
It's the same. Oh yeah.
It's the same. It is. Wow. So that'd be from the 30s. Just so we're clear on that. Yeah. So, I mean, it's incredible. And I do love the place. And because of it, it gives opportunity for unique lighting. And I've seen some guys do it really well. And the other guys just have no clue what to do with it. But regardless, what I did notice is the sound that comes through that place. And it does. It just affects you. And I feel like, I wasn't feeling super great when we were at that Alter Bridge show, right? Mm-hmm. That was the time that I thought I had COVID before it was cool. Yeah. And so, and yeah, I remember not feeling it at all, but then, it's incessant. There's something that you cannot overcome when you just start getting pounded with bass and pounded with guitars and then vocals that are great. You inherently, there's a emotional side that brings out. And that's the same to me as what we were talking about with cars, as well, you know? So I love it. I think it's
energy and power.
Yeah, it's energy and power. And so to the point of what Blake's talking about, there's a huge movement, and look, it makes sense. You want to have, we use these at our church, actually. They're modular pedals, and man, you could come up with thousands of different combinations of sounds. But
it allows you to change the amp head and the cab.
Yeah.
So you can interchange stuff all day, every day. And you can do this with, I mean, amps that you can't even afford.
Oh yeah, easily. Like rare boutique amps that maybe only 100 of them were made, right?
Right.
Yeah. And then you can add pedals into them and all that kind of stuff, and make your own sound. And so with that flexibility, for the price of that pedal is cheaper than most amps you would buy. And then on top of that, you know, it's a pedal. You're not lugging around 40 pounds, 50 pounds.
Well, and it makes sense for touring acts too. Like Guitarist, I just watched a video the other day, or yesterday actually. It was the Guitarist for Britney Spears.
Oh yeah.
He has just a little stomp box of all of the sounds. He doesn't use an amp when he goes on stage at all.
Really?
And which, you know, if I had the honor of going on tour, I'm taking an amp, man.
Oh, like, yeah.
I want to, you know, I want to do that thing, but I also understand it's not what it used to be.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, they gotta be able to turn the guitar down so they can turn up Britney Spears auto-tune vocals. Yeah.
No, but it's, the industry's changed, and the uses for these tools have changed too, and it's in some ways a little bit more consistent.
Yeah,
which is important because every venue you go to is different, and all that stuff.
It's incredibly consistent, and you know, if you're people in our position where we don't have a record or management or anything like that, like it would make complete sense to bring that. And they say, so this is the thing. Yeah, this is the thing that bothers me. Okay, is that they say people aren't going to notice, right? We hear that even with people aren't going to notice if you play a wrong note. I think that they don't, but when you get it right, when the sound is right or the notes you play are right, they do notice that.
Yeah.
So you may not inherently be losing fans, but you could be gaining fans. And to me, my thing is, you know, so actually I had the perfect comparison one time. So I saw Mark Tremonti's solo band here in Wichita, and his co-lead guitarist had just profiled everything on a Kemper, which is very similar to what we're talking about with what we use is a Line 6 Helix. Okay.
It's a different thing.
Yeah. It approaches it completely different, but the premise is the same. And so it's simulating these amps, and you had Mark, the lead guitarist and lead singer, you had two amps roughly, well, half the size of what I put up on the photo there, but two of them, one on each side of them. And then you had this simulated amp that was coming out through just a PA, right? I could feel the difference. The other guitarist was not as impactful as Mark was because he had that air movement. I remember when his guitar tech came out and sound checked it, I felt my hair go back a little bit because I was close to the stage, you know, and there is this, you know, the sensation that no matter how many concerts you go to, unless you're doing it for a living, unless you're going to a concert every single week, you don't overcome that, you know, you don't really get past that.
Well, and that power, I mean, it, like AC/DC, that drive and power from all of their records and stuff, if you're a fan of AC/DC, of course, which who's not? I mean, anytime you hear it, you're like, yeah, man.
Beaker face.
Yeah, beaker face. Yeah. But that power of their recordings are 3 of those Marshall Plexis.
Yeah.
And they're still touring with that stuff. But even to your point, that with Britney Spears guitarist, it was to that because you said that Mark modeled his songs exactly
right
to go on tour. That was his thing too. He needed to, I can't remember what song it is. It's some Britney song with a guitar on it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't listen to Britney Spears.
So, right. Something.
But
toxic.
I don't.
I don't know.
But it's such an iconic sound.
Yeah.
It had to be right.
Right. Which that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, like,
and if you go on tour as somebody that's not famous, you're lugging in your own stuff.
Oh yeah.
So do you want to be lugging in 100-pound, 50-pound amps every show? Because you don't have roadies unless you're a big person. Then you have roadies doing it for you.
Right, and you do. But but that's the thing. So like, these pop stars, I think, are really what is pushing the industry in that direction. Because think about it, like there's a Rihanna song that I really like, and it has some shred and blues rock guitar at the end of it, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
But then there's other Rihanna songs where it's just like jangly funk kind of stuff, right? And if you brought in an amp to that gig, chances are you're going to have a massive pedal board just to accommodate
the sounds,
the versatility of sounds, or you could just have presets on a modeling amp that would take care of that. So, but it's not the same. You don't feel the same on stage. I am blessed to have the hearing maintained that I have, because I always use one in-ear monitor in and the other out, so I can hear the actual room noise, because to me that's so critical.
You're supposed to wear both.
I know I'm supposed to wear both.
You need to keep wearing both.
But I have equal hearing. It's pretty amazing. I can't explain it. I'm a scientific anomaly. It's pretty amazing.
But you don't want to, just keep wearing your headphones.
No, I know.
It's awful to do. Trust me, because I still leave them both in, but I crack them out a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So
Sure. Yes, you get.
But I get it. I get it. I want to hear the room.
I
mean, because you don't want to be too shut off from it.
Right. But even as musicians, you feel that. So like I can say, as someone who performs the music just as much as they listen to it, that's how I know that it's important to have that feeling, because for us, if we can't feel it on stage, the performance is not as good. Right. So the sensation therefore won't be as good.
That's how I am with bass. Man, like being a bass player and feeling the subs, like it's amazing, because as opposed to guitar and singing and all that stuff, that's in a different frequency. That's in the mids and the highs. Like bass, I'm in the bass. So it's almost like I'm a puppet master.
Definitely.
In the sense of like, I can control what people are feeling. Like if I just do a bass slide and I crank up my bass thing, like it's a feeling that one is exciting for me. Oh, it just makes me feel powerful. Yeah. But when it's I don't know, it's that puppet master thing. It's just like boom, and it's that power.
Absolutely.
Come back to the power.
The power.
Take the power back. Rage Against the Machine. 1993 or two, whatever it is, 91 or what? I don't remember.
I don't know, man. But no, I mean, you look. I feel that, and it's a different feeling altogether. So, like, my thing is, I see the industry moving more and more in that way because of the ease of use, because of the versatility, but the tones are not the same. I'll actually say this too. So, I recorded a demo for Blake to learn to play drums on. Right,
it's trash.
It is. Don't buy my album, actually. It's pretty awful. But no, it's anyway, so I used amp sims on this, right? And I sent it over to Blake, and the amp sims sound good. They do. But I've also mic'd up my amps. I've never owned a big amp like what we showed you earlier. I've never had the privilege of owning something that huge. I own small, like single 12-inch speaker cabinets, which 12-inch speaker is big, and you can move a lot of air with that. Don't get me wrong.
That's great for the gigs that you do around town.
Do, absolutely. Yeah. And so, but I've put that in the closet. I've cranked it up, and even having that power, listening to it in another room while it's in a closet, cranked, and then hearing it back through my studio monitors, incredibly different from a simulation, because it's still that power, that actual, real, tangible power.
Yep. I mean, all of Van Halen stuff, every knob is cranked to 11.
Yeah.
Everything. AC/DC is the same way. It's not even gain.
Right.
It's just volume.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that volume creates that compression and that it's beautiful.
Massive sound. People don't really realize how loud a lot of their favorite records really are.
They're so loud.
Yeah, they're so loud. Yeah. That's why I love like rock. I remember, who was it? I think it was a Foo Fighters album I bought one time. I unwrapped it and it had a sleeve inside that said "Crank this thing up loud."
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's probably partly because they recorded it loud, and so it sounds better when it is loud. You know, it's more true to the recording. But I did, I usually play gigs with my Marshall 1x12 combo amp between 3 and 4, which is loud.
It's pretty loud, man.
I'm playing big gigs with that. I cranked that thing up to 6 out of 10, right?
And that's scary.
It's scary.
I mean, it's scary.
Yeah.
Loud,
and that's how I recorded.
Like, it'll kill a young child loud. Like,
or maybe a grown child too. But like,
definitely your cat.
Yeah, your cat. Well, that was intentional though, if it's coming from me. but yeah, I mean, it will decimate a small population at that volume, and it sounded great. It sounded phenomenal, and so it's like, how do you replicate that on things that aren't real? You know,
which I'm sure you knew this, but Eddie Van Halen, when he would test his amps, do you know this story?
No.
So when he would have his amp, his signature amp created, I can't remember what model exactly, but he, in his home studio, he cranked it up to 11 and had it feed back, and he would leave it there for a month.
Yeah,
a month.
Wow.
To test the amp. I mean, this goes to his extreme, like, stamp of approval.
Sure.
But he left his guitar just cranked, feeding back for a month. And if that amp held up, then he knew it was good.
Yeah. That's wild.
That's insane.
No, it is. It is.
Like, one, to have a space that you could just have a cranked amp.
And no one will be bothered.
And no one will be bothered.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't happen.
That doesn't really have anything to do with power.
No, I mean, it does.
It kind of does, but it's a funny thing that I remember hearing. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's insane.
But then I feel like, to people like Dennison, right? Like, you are probably someone who wouldn't notice. And that's no offense to you, but that's just not where your focus lies, right?
Yeah.
You're probably someone that wouldn't notice if it was, real amps or a simulated amp, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be bothered by it, I guess is what I mean to say.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. It's just, I guess it's all about perspective. I think that there's a lot of assumption as to why rock music isn't like in the forefront as it used to be, Yeah. And there's a lot of different perspective as to why, but I think it's because it's not as reckless as it used to be, right?
Mm.
I'm not talking about the lyrics. I'm not talking about saying crazy stuff on the microphone. I'm not saying that guitars have to be slightly out of tune or it needs to be slightly out of time. I just think it needs to be like reckless abandon and not feel like, oh, we were being considerate for the neighbors or things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not rock and roll.
Yeah, exactly. Or we used our amp simulator because it was way easier to load and unload, right? Mm-hmm. I do that for demos because as I'm developing the demo, maybe I think, oh, this would sound way better. So it's easy for me to change between amp simulations and just redo the part rather than having to redial in my amp over and over and over and over. Yeah. So I do that for demos.
I do too.
It's super handy.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
But as far as the actual recording, I wouldn't even say this came from an audiophile standpoint, but I heard a difference, a massive difference between using the amp sims and my actual amp when I recorded that for the first half of these songs that are coming out of this EP. Mm-hmm. But yeah, let's switch it up a little bit. Dennison, have you checked out the new Weekend album, man?
I have not, actually. I haven't had the privilege.
Oh, man. Well, Blake might argue if it was a privilege or not. Man, go ahead and get into it, man. I'll be right back.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. So my coworker, he's like, "Hey man, did you check out the new Weekend album?" I'm like, "No." So he played me a song, and it's a vibe for sure. It's cool. Mm-hmm. It kind of bothers me when I don't know how to feel about an album because partially yes, I'm a musician, but it goes beyond that. It's more of like a, why am I not connecting with this? Because I enjoy the Weeknd stuff a lot, and he went to this very kind of an I love the 80s, but he went to like an 80s sound and vibe, and like Quincy Jones, who produced Michael Jackson, he's on it. He produced the album. And there's some special features, like Lil Wayne's on it, and Jim Carrey is on it too. It's a very interesting album. I just don't know how I feel about it. I don't know. And that bothers me.
Is it that like none of the songs like touched you really?
Not really.
You either
like,
way.
Sonically, it has every right to touch me because I love all the 80s synths, the electronic drums, the super crazy reverb. But like lyrically and melodically, like it didn't do anything for me. I've only listened to it once. And how many times did you listen to it all the way through?
No, I did not listen to it all the way through. I listened to parts of it. But to be real, it pretty much sounded sonically the same all the way through,
which is cool.
It can be cool.
Like it can be cool. Like it. I mean, think of like maybe your favorite record. I know, like my favorite record. It sonically is consistent, so that's it's the whole album's in the same kind of clothes.
Yeah,
just different characters, I guess.
Definitely. So. Yeah, it's weird because Quincy Jones was behind the production, right?
Yep.
And he worked on all of MJ's records.
Right. Yep.
So, and a lot of people compare The Weeknd to Michael Jackson, right? For how he sounds.
And when my coworker listened, a different coworker, she's like, "Is this Michael?"
Yeah. There's a Drake track called "Don't Matter to Me," where he had an unfinished Michael Jackson track.
Yes, I love that.
It's a great song.
Honestly,
it's a really good song. But a lot of people accused him of lying and saying he just got The Weeknd to feature on the track.
No, it's clearly Michael.
It's clearly Michael, but that's how similar The Weeknd models his sound to MJ, Yeah. So it's
on one hand, it does show like how much Michael has influenced generations.
Yes.
Like his I listened to like Thriller came on today, and I'm just like, this is solid. Like I usually don't listen to certain things every now and then, but like it's cool to be reminded again of why Thriller's the #1 selling album of all time.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, man, this is it's the same beat the whole time, and then it's just that's a different tier.
It is. So I think like what this is a weird caricature of what 80s pop sounded like, And bro, we were talking about this with Ed Sheeran, right? Like, his sound is different too, and it's more of that type of sound. I don't even think like if you think of the Bad album, or you think of the Thriller album, really most of the Weeknd stuff is pulling from like 2 songs, sonically speaking. It's not pulling from the whole album, because Thriller, there's like a whole symphony, like freaking synthesizer, guitar, bass. And man, I had these new speakers, right? And we listened to PYT, right?
Dude, which he never played that song live.
Oh, that's weird. I didn't know
which
that.
is one of my favorite from him.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a good song.
The bass.
Good bass line.
The bass on that is ripping. He has some fills in the bridge part that are insane. And you have to have a good stereo to hear them.
Call, like, with the
everybody
chicks,
here repeat. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's like some slap parts.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
wild, man.
It's great.
It was nuts. I was like, I've never heard this. I've listened to it. No, I had never picked up on that.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy. But yeah, so to me, it really kind of speaks overall to this retro movement that's going on in music, which I'm not against, but it seems like I don't even know how to say it. It just feels like the motives are impure almost,
Mm.
I don't know, Dennis. We were talking about this with Ed Sheeran for sure. Like, how do you feel about like this retro movement? Because where I'm coming from it with, or approaching this as is, they are sounding retro for the sake of sounding retro when there clearly could be other directions done. To me, it's like a lack of creativity, I would almost say,
Yeah. I mean, I can see that. I find it, I think for me, at least, I feel like it's very much, it depends. It depends on the artist and it depends on how they structure the sound. Because I feel
Right.
like there are plenty of artists that will use the retro sound less for a nostalgic feel to try to gain those type of emotions from people who were during that time and they were used to that type of music,
Definitely.
and more of like a creative spin, right? I think a
Yeah.
good example would probably be like Bruno Mars lately, where a
Right.
lot of his last two albums, right, have been very much pulling from that retro sound, but he does make some slight changes to make it his own.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a way to do it, and I feel like you can really tell when someone is just doing it just to hear it.
For
So,
sure.
I haven't heard the Weeknd's album. So I don't know, but I would imagine, especially if he's bringing in the same producer who did Michael Jackson stuff, he's probably trying to come from at a creative standpoint where he's really
Yeah.
just trying to grab that sound just because that's what he's going for and that's who he idoled when he was younger, and that's the type of sound that he wants. And I've always felt like The Weeknd has been pretty good at mimicking a sound very similar to Michael Jackson's.
For sure.
So I think, it's just part of his creative freedom. But, we'll go ahead.
No, I definitely agree, man. I mean, I got really excited because I saw there was a track with Lil Wayne on there. Now, obviously, that's the era we grew up. Like Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj, Drake, like all three of them. Young Money. Right? So anyway, like I got really excited and I wanted to listen to that, and it felt like that feature was so forced. Like it was not a Lil Wayne type of track at all.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't really auto-tune his voice either. His voice was so auto-tuned. Like it was whack sounding. It did not sound right at all and necessary. It's just, we agree with you. Actually, we were talking about this. Silk Sonic is an example of somebody who does it well and pulls from that retro sound, but makes it their own too. But then at the same time, the thing is, there's a healthy amount of musicianship that went into that older stuff. Like we were talking about with PYT.
Yep.
A lot of those things those guys didn't have to do. They did not have to play a crazy bass solo, like slapping the bass in the middle of that bridge. They didn't have to, but they wanted to because they loved the craft and they loved the song.
But also it's amazing about these older records that people that aren't musicians really know, or maybe that have some kind of musical like experience, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Back then, like there wasn't any kind of Pro Tools where you can redo a part over and over and over.
Yeah.
You practice as a band over and over and over where there are no mistakes, everything's crystal clear, and you do the take.
Yeah.
And what you hear is a true band that is so tight it's amazing.
Yeah.
And so now, although these tools are amazing, it still blows my mind that all of my favorite records, either A, weren't played to a click and they're so tight.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is amazing. And the songs that were written too, that's a whole nother rabbit trail to go on.
Yeah.
From actual chord changes to melodic changes to the actual songwriting of it, like writing down like actual poetry.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh man, there's so much contrast from then and now, and that's what I appreciate so much. Yes, I know that Rick Beato did like or the top Spotify songs or the top ones that are nominated for the Grammys this year.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
And Silk Sonic, Leave the Door Opens up there, and so he didn't rank it one of the best songs of the year. I personally think it is.
Yeah, I think it is too.
Because the songwriting chord-wise is not like anything you've heard from this generation.
Yeah.
2, it was recorded with real instruments, which as a musician, that's huge for me.
Yeah,
it's entertaining.
Yeah, way more connectable.
And they are entertainers.
Yeah.
They are purely entertainers. I mean, Bruno, we know his his idol is Michael Jackson and
James Brown.
And James Brown.
Yeah.
And so they are paying an homage to that genre. And yes, Earth, Wind, and Fire, they are emulating that sound, but but they're doing it the right way. They're not doing it as a plug-in now to just cheat the system. Yeah. Like, oh, we're just gonna bring this nostalgic sound, and that's it.
Yeah, right.
Like the warbly, like the lo-fi crap, like. Okay.
Which is unfortunate because
that was a sound back then. Like those Rode keyboards, like they made that sound because of probably crappy technology.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know why it made that sound, but now it's just like a plug-in.
It's the tape. It's because the tape was recorded to.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
The machine was out of tune.
Or it's not perfect.
Yeah, it's not perfect. And so I am bummed by that because I think the lo-fi thing picked up again about 2 years ago, and I was really excited to incorporate some of that. It's already so played out
that it's like it's not even creative and unique anymore.
No, I don't want to hear it. I don't. I don't. Yeah. And I was talking to Denison about this too, but I was talking to Blake about, like a lot of rock bands go back to that sound of like what it sounded like when they recorded tape, to tape, And Denison, you remember that Apocalyptic Love album I had?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That actually was recorded to tape.
Really?
And this was before people started doing tape again. They had to search for 6 months to find enough 2-inch tape to be able to record. And then they could record. Wow. Yeah.
When was this?
Excuse me. It was 2012. Wow. And then everybody started doing it after that in rock. Everybody started doing it right after that. And
well, I even not to interrupt, but like there are some people, friends of my brothers in Nashville that, and actually a couple people here in town as well too.
Yeah.
They like posted or said something of like, hey, we have a reel-to-reel. And so bands will record and then master in a reel-to-reel now. So it's recorded to tape.
Sure.
And then they take that and then so it's a really cool, I don't want to blame it on nostalgia or I don't want to say that's the gimmick, if you will, of going back to the old stuff. Like, oh, we're just doing it because it's on tape now.
Right.
But there is a sonic difference.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like a sound system that you have here, I mean, you can hear the difference between a digital file that's now and then an old file. Like the vinyl that you played a Foreigner a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
One, I didn't hear that song before.
Right.
But two, I was blown away. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, so
yeah. I love
the nerdy
that.
Stuff I love,
I love that. Ooh, that might be a random good thing to kind of tie this up on. This I'm gonna make you go last, man, because I know you probably need time to think about it. But top 5 favorite artists or bands of all time. Top 5 of all time. It doesn't have to be the best. It just has to be your favorite, right?
So you're going by favorite, not by technicality?
Not by who's technically the best, because like the Beatles would be number 1, right? Or somebody like that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to put the Beatles as my number 1. So yeah, like my top 5 favorite. Like I'll go first, right?
Okay, so we're not talking technicality, because technicality would be, that's its own thing for sure.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, we're talking about like who you could just turn on any moment.
Yeah.
And love listening to.
Okay.
So like for me, obviously it'd be Alter Bridge, right? It'd be number 1. Alter Bridge.
Britney Spears for sure.
That's number 6. it barely made the cut. No, it's Alter Bridge, right? And then I would say Stone Temple Pilots. This is a really weird list. Stone Temple Pilots, Led Zeppelin, Foreigner. That's what made me think of this. I absolutely go with Foreigner. I love Foreigner. And then U2.
Cool.
Yeah, I would say those would be my top 5 favorite bands. And it's what you got: the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s all in there.
Yeah.
You know? But each one of them are unique sounding, in my opinion. They all sound unique. They all have credible musicianship behind them. And they all have great vocalists too, you know? They really do. All 5 of them have great vocalists. So I don't know. Those are the things that speak to me, along with their lyrical content, obviously. STP is a little sadder than most, probably, but but yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm coming from. Now, if you're watching on the live stream at this point, leave us in the comments who your top 5 favorite bands are.
Yeah, there you go.
Or even if you're listening on the podcast, the audio, let us know who you think your top 5 favorite are. But yeah, who you got, man?
Probably number 1 is John Mayer. So that singer-songwriter bluesy thing. Van Halen. And honestly, the majority of this list is what I grew up listening to, and it's still my favorite stuff to listen to.
Yeah.
So John Mayer, Van Halen, Boston. Anytime I hear a Boston song come on, I'm just like instant nostalgia, instant, like it just takes you somewhere.
Definitely.
Def Leppard.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
definitely.
Def Leppard. And then probably probably Ben Rector.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty concise list. You got like the freaking 80s hair band, then like 80s rock with Van Halen, and then like 2 singer-songwriters.
Yeah, right. Literally.
Yeah. So,
bookended by that, yeah.
Yeah. That's honestly really tough to say because they're different. That's hard. But if I had to just say right now, that'd be it.
I feel that. Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing about it is it just is really what speaks to you, you know, and
yeah,
and Denison knows Def Leppard, man. That used to be my all time. I remember this is a long story that's not podcast worthy, but we were going out to this haunted house, and I had taken over his stereo and plugged my phone in through the USB, and Run Riot come on.
Nice.
Right, my reaction exactly. And Denison goes, "Nope," and just skips right to the next one. I was like, "Man,
you just like bail out of GTA."
Just hit try. Yeah, I'm out, dude. Yeah. Oh, something don't feel too good.
What's yours, Denison?
Yeah, what you got, man?
You know, this is really hard for me.
It is.
So, and you said bands, right?
Well, or artists, yeah.
Okay, because it would probably be a little bit different for me. So, let's see.
No, I said both.
So I would probably say Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Really? A surprise has been unveiled from the toy box.
Let's see. Michael Jackson. Let's see. I'm trying to think. These are ones that I know pretty much almost all the time. I can probably turn on and I'll be like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Right.
Let's see. Another one would be Boys to Men.
Okay. These are good picks, man.
These are great.
Let's see. Another one. This one's probably going to be kind of. I think my last two will probably be a little bit more left field, more recent. But it would be Lecrae.
Yeah.
And then my last one is. Do I want to use? Yeah. No. It'd be. It's a producer. His name is Madon. Or that's thingy.
Madon?
Yeah.
Man, I guessed 3 of the 5 of these. I didn't expect Earth, Wind, and Fire, to be honest. That kind of threw me off, and I never would have guessed Madon.
Yeah, man.
Isn't that like the fish that's like bigger than a shark?
No, I don't know. It's a French electronic music producer. So.
Oh, whoops. Common misconception, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, though. Yeah.
That's a good list.
It's a really good
diverse
list.
And I should have said Michael Jackson. Come on. Anytime that comes on, like anytime Billie Jean or anything from Thriller comes on, like you're like, yeah, let's not change this.
Yeah, let's just pause and chill.
I listened to Smooth Criminal yesterday, and I'm like, man, same like 3-chord vibe the entire song. And it's just funky.
Ooh, have you ever heard
Yes,
Alien Ant Farm? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
But it doesn't have like that punch though.
No, it doesn't. No, the original is way better. I will say that.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, toss up for you. Beat It. Oh man. I'm about to really throw Blake a hard one here.
Uh-oh.
Beat It, Michael Jackson with Eddie Van Halen playing the solo. Or Beat It, Fall Out Boy with John Mayer playing the solo.
Eddie Van Halen.
Wow.
Eddie Van Halen did 2 takes of that solo.
Yeah.
He did 2 takes of that solo.
Right.
And the second one's what you hear, I believe.
Right.
And the knocking sound is him knocking on his guitar.
With his pick.
Yeah,
because I've done that before.
Well, actually, I think it is his hand.
Oh, really?
On the body, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's wild.
Yep.
Well,
nerds.
This whole thing was a nerd. I feel
nerd fest.
I feel kind of bad because we kind of commandeered it from Denison a little bit.
Yeah. Sorry, Denison.
Sorry, hey, man. All right, but this was fun.
This feels like a Joe Rogan podcast right now. We're almost gonna hit 2 hours.
I know.
No wonder podcasts are so long.
we may have to split this up into two separate podcasts, man.
Might as well.
Let's see. My grandmother chimed in on the live stream. She said Johnny Mathis. I guess that's 1 through 5 for her.
Okay.
Yeah. So solid pick though. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Glad we could have Blake on.
I'm so glad to be here, man.
Yeah. And we can do this anytime.
I'll be here next week.
Oh, okay. So the catch up with John, Blake, and Denison is now the name of the podcast. But no, this was a lot of fun. We touched on a lot of good stuff. Hopefully you guys got something out of it and really enjoyed it. Enjoyed being on the discussion. If you're looking for other ways to support us, obviously I touched on the main ones at the beginning of this episode, but check out our Instagram page and our YouTube. We have exclusive content over there. We're posting all the time. And then email us at theketchupcast@gmail.com. Tell them one more time what that is, Denison.
Oh, man. It's theketchupcast@gmail.com.
That's right. That's right. It is. So hit us up over there. Let us know what you thought of our episodes. If you have any topic suggestions, even if you'd like to come on and join us as a guest, just as Blake did.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 recommend. Yelp review.
All right, sweet. Yeah, which leave us a rating and review as well. That's the easiest way to help us continue to grow. Is just
the comments wherever they are.
Yeah, wherever you're listening to, leave us a rating and review and let us know what you think of the episode. Subscribe if you like us.
Please do.
And we'll be back next week as we are each and every week with Friday night live streams and Monday morning episodes. So yeah, man, this has been great. Denison, you got any final thoughts, man?
Man, I think my only final thoughts are enjoy the times that you have because, change is on the way. change is coming. I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
It's pretty heavy, man.
I was just thinking about that today.
Oh yeah.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah. I'm just a simple, like, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about the same thing.
Changes are coming, man.
Yep.
So, all right. Good stuff. 2022 is off to a great start. We got a whole lot more of exciting things along the way. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for catching up with us. We'll catch up with you next week.